Hello, welcome. This is the days of quantum. Those days have been spread out over a number of a period of time. But this is day 14, and it's something that is not just important, but it is essential and required of those that want to find freedom. To me, it is the very significance of why we need to be educated in anything at all is to do with this one capacity and everything that we require to be able to do that in our own sovereignty. When we're able to do this, nothing stands in front of us. When we're able to do this, we find our own truth by our own determination. It's the capacity to make a decision. There's a statement I work with is that there is no greater force than a decision made. And it's important to understand why. For many of us, we look externally to spiritual relationships, to galactic entities, to teachers, to parents, mentors, whatever it may be, but we all have our own form of divining and deciding the truth. One thing that is undeniable, that in every single moment of our life we have a choice. It's our inability to make decisions that sometimes appears that choice is very limited, restricted, controlled. But this is not true. In the moment when we break free from our limited thinking, we have something called a liberating idea. An inspiration as such. It's in the very moment of that engulfs and explodes within us that there is no limit. There is no restriction on what we can create from that particular intelligence that's just being presented to us. But as we wait, as we choose not to act upon that, we start to find reasons why we can't, why we shouldn't, why it would be difficult, what we would lose, rather than focusing upon the very source of the information in the first place. And for some of us, we have that inspiration, we get excited, and our ego steps in and goes, I know how to do this. I've done this before. But yet, that's not possible because the inspiration exists. We might have done something similar, but it's that need to be recognized, not just by others, but by ourselves, that gives us the absence to our own power. Through expression. So, decision making. Many of us fall over when we're making a decision based upon what we believe the consequences to be, that if I make this decision, I won't have in response to that. That I don't have the money, the resources, the capacity to make a decision at this particular point in my life. And you know what? That then is the truth. We're all aware, we're all experiencing moments of less than what we are, which is why we have the opportunity to make a decision. The very nature of making a decision is to change the conditions that we have, not to maintain them, not to be in fear of them, but to actually change those conditions. When we identify that we don't have enough love, resources, money, we as individuals will become restricted and live limited by that. In decision making, we have an opportunity to change the experience. That is what a decision is all about. It is the creation of change, as we determine it to be, as a creator of our own life and our own being at each and every moment of that living. If we don't make the decision, what we're choosing to do is to maintain the current environment and conditions that we have. But understand this, when we make a decision, what we are determining at that particular moment is for every part of our being to move forward. And what's important to understand that when we make a decision once, when we make that decision, it calls into question all the things that oppose it in our own life that we've maintained, the lies, the deceits, the lack of worth, the bad experiences, the unresolved moments that we've had in the past that determine that we can't. These are not truths, these are excuses that we hold on to unwillingly, but unknowingly and unconsciously. Again, that's a choice. For some of us, we may not be conscious to that particular choice. But nevertheless, we are the only one that is making it. When we make a decision and we make that decision to move forward, I want you to consider, imagine that there's 20 beings that live within you. And each of them are there to serve and support you. But if you're not directing, guiding, inspiring them, they will find something else to be inspired by, something else to be intrigued with. And it may not be to the best interests of you, but as they run rampant, radical, wild, within the space that you provide, the environment within, if you don't provide them with leadership and guidance, direction, certainty, and the ability to mobilize yourself forward towards a worthy ideal, towards what you want to create, they won't listen. They'll oppose, they'll work against. And that's why we feel trauma. That's why we feel frustrated, disillusioned at so many times, as we feel confused and overwhelmed by so many different voices that exist within us, tearing us in different directions. And we create conditions and name them like stress, anxiety, depression, where all it is an absence, a misunderstanding, something we've bought into in order to keep us in that particular way, to keep us patient to what other people determine we need, to keep us in service of medication, healing, because there's something supposedly wrong. You can buy into that if you like, and you'll be determined by that. This is not science, this is just manipulation. Our ability to choose a greater level of prosperity comes when we decide to determine what it is that we want, and we move forward and recognize that that is not one decision. When we move forward, we've got these, let's just say, in this example, these beings that are looking for inspiration, that require it, that demand it. Like you, they want to be enthralled, they want to be engaged, they want to be authentically inspired in life. But why would they be if there is no direction, if there is no certainty, if you keep making decisions but never complete them? If that is the habit, why would I listen? Why would I want to be a part of that? I'm going to continue to keep doing what I'm doing. So for each of us, we must recognize as we move towards our own prosperity and our own truth, what is so important that we need to make a decision not once, but consistently until that's complete, because the nature of making a decision is to move towards an outcome, to move towards your own creation, to not a predetermined outcome, but to move towards your creation of it. And it's in a consideration of how often we can say no to what it is that does not serve us as we become more refined and defined by what it is that we are choosing to move into. The very nature of what we want is not dissimilar to trying. We don't need to want anything. We already have it. It's how we're going to shape what we have. Become clear. Make a decision to become very aware of what it is that you want, but also what it is that you don't want. A decision determines for you to change the environment. Most people make decisions based upon being fearful of recreating what they already have. Therefore, never making a decision, therefore becoming subjected to external authorities, guides, religions, people, in the inability to be able to discern information. And that comes from when we, in our own way, whether it's through a path of enlightenment, whether it's through a path of your own discovery, delivered by someone else or within you, it is about getting to a particular point where you trust in something. And for some of us, that begins with people around us, to eventually, when we start to remove ourselves from books that have enlightened us, from people that have enlightened us, from quotes, ideals, concepts, until we step into our own embodiment of all of those things and we let them go, not in denial of them, not in hate for them, not in exclusion of them, but to recognize all of these concepts that we've bought into are what exists within us. And as we come to resolve ourselves beyond them, and we just be, those 20 within us, they walk through walls for you. They support you, they guide you, and decisions that you make come in a state of flow. And the reason why flow is there is because there's no opposition. Because what you've demonstrated within yourself is that when you make a decision, you continue to move forward through it. You continue to keep going until that particular moment in time. You're not considering the future as a point of fear or as a point of reference. You're considering what is happening at this particular moment right now and how to make a decision in this moment. Not holding on to what you made previously and waiting for others. This is a deep level of responsibility. We cannot be manipulated, we cannot be controlled whilst we are making decisions for our own self. It takes courage, it takes certainty, but it takes a point of your own audacity to actually suggest that you have the answers, and that when people question you, who are you? To suggest that, to know that, to say that you're greater than this expert that's been elevated. You are you. You owe nothing to anyone else except to be true to yourself. We came from community. We came from a collective. We are here to be independent, and through independence and the love for our own self, that is all that emanates from us. We don't need to prove to others our own worth, our own certainty. We're here to make decisions, to create a path of our own that inspires others to do the same and find their freedom within the actions that they take. This is not about politics. This is not about relationships. This is not about new world orders. This is not about any particular leader or concept of beings coming to save us. This is all about you and you making a decision to explore, navigate, and understand your truth. These are the 17 days of quantum, and as we're coming towards the end of them, I pre-recorded this. I'm taking 7 days completely offline to spend time with my son. This is about you being able to make a decision beyond your own self and step into something of your authority rather than continue to maintain the situation or the circumstances you have. This is about brave change. No one changed through convenience. No one changed when the time was right. People change because when they decided to do it, and when things align and become coincidental in your life is because you decided them to be. It's in those rare moments that we have those rare moments of alignment. And that is what we need to recognize. When we are having alignment, that is because the rarity that we're experiencing is not a normality. Learn to make decisions. But decisions come from a place of deep trust and discernment within our own self. That is what the quantum movement exists for. Your sovereignty, your independence through making decisions to walk your path, no one else's. Join us. If you choose, if you decide. Anyway, until we meet again on the inside, enjoy you.